hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Rules Podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. Mike here again, but only for a minute. When I was back in Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago, I actually left all of the recording gear with Mark and Rachel, and so you may have noticed, but they have kind of taken over making a couple episodes of the podcast for us here. And yesterday they sent me a recording that they made, the two of them with Rachel's mother, Erika. And it is a super interesting episode, all about her life growing up in Germany, as well as her passion for gardening and canning. It's actually such a cool episode. It ends up being two great episodes. And so this week you're going to hear the first of those two episodes with Mark, Erika, and Rachel. And then we'll run the second half next week. So the other good news is that in just a couple of days, Caitlin and myself and the boys will be back in Pennsylvania. And so we're going to be making a whole bunch of new content, and it'll be the opening of deer season. And so there's going to be lots to talk about and lots of great episodes to come. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy this one. Here we go.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. This is Mark, and we're excited this week to bring you an episode focusing a little bit more on some gardening, some canning. And we're here this week with a very special guest, my mother-in-law, Erika. Say hi, Erika.
Hello, everybody.
And Rachel.
Hey.
We wanted to bring you on, Erika, because you are very good at gardening. You have a very green thumb, and you're very good with canning and preserving and butchering and all those things. So just thought it'd be interesting to get your perspective on some things. I guess we'll start off first with the fact that you weren't born in the United States.
No, I was born in Germany in a rather small village, where everybody connected with each other. Everybody knew each other, which as a child was not always fun because everybody knew what you did before you went home, so you knew you're going to get it when you get home. So that being said, I grew up with, I would say, 90% of homegrown, home-baked, home-butchered, home-preserved meals. Very seldom did we have anything that was not produced by family, friends, or neighbors.
So you were born, what year were you born?
1961.
So heart of the Cold War.
Yes.
Was some of that because of the Cold War, do you think? Or was it just where you grew up in the part of Germany you grew up in? Or post-war life? Or, just the family that you had?
Yeah, I would say probably a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. With one income household and 4 children, you had to make ends meet as best as you could, and our neighbors were the same way. And my mom grew up during World War II, so food was always scarce, so everything was very precious. Everything needed to be used. And also where I grew up, there was not a big grocery store. Most of the stores were a little mom and pop. Milk didn't come in a jug. You went with your little milk can down to the local milk house, and you got it right out of the big container where the farmers would bring their milk. So you didn't have all those things available that you have now. No big chain grocery stores or anything like that.
And you lived, over in Europe, a lot of it is still to this day the same way. but even more so back then, multi-family household. So talk a little bit about growing up in a house and who is in your house. And I'm assuming that everyone, contributed in different ways.
Yes. So when I was young, my grandparents lived with us, and that was just a normal way of doing things because you pulled your resources together. If mom needed a surgery, grandma was right there to step in. Even my grandma that didn't live with us, my dad is one of 13 siblings. He has 13 siblings. There were 7 boys and 7 girls in his family. And his mom, of course, was a widow during the war. And she lived with her oldest son, but anybody in the family of her other children had a need for meals or whatever. She would travel from household to household and supply babysitting, nursing somebody back to health, or with meals. That was the grandma that didn't live with us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a normal thing. And then, of course, after John and I got married, my parents still live with my grandparents, but my oldest sister and her husband and daughter moved in with my parents as well. So you had grandparents, great-grandparents, parents, and kids living under one roof.
Right.
Now, everybody had their own private space.
Living space.
Own
Own kitchens, too.
Own kitchens, own bathrooms, so everybody had their own living space.
And fun fact, listeners, we utilize this type of living space in our own home. So Mark and CJ and I have the upstairs of our house, and my parents, John and Erika, are downstairs. And everyone has their own kitchen, their own living space, completely different entrances. The only shared space is laundry room. So we implemented that European style in our own household.
Yes, we did. Sometimes I feel probably bad for Mark. Living with your mother-in-law is not always the easiest. At least that's what they say.
He's quite silent.
Well,
I quite enjoy my in-laws, so
yeah.
It's not an issue for me.
So that's how it was back then. And there are other cultures probably that are like that. I would say maybe Japanese, but American cultures are totally different.
Yes.
Everybody wants their own space.
Yeah. We talk about, quite a bit on the podcast, Quentin, the town of Quentin, how important it was to us. And, I mean, my mom grew up with 2 uncles in her house. I never had grandparents in my house, but my grandparents were legitimately the next house to ours. We shared a yard almost. So I grew up with access to my grandparents, my Pop Bud and Grandma at any time that I wanted. And same thing, if somebody was sick, Pop Bud was there, Grandma was there. You spent the day at their house or they came over. So, looking when Rachel and I were talking about finding a house, it was kind of important to me to be somewhere like this where CJ had access to her grandparents, because that was such a special part of my life, having the ability to spend all that time with them in ways that I know other kids necessarily didn't have.
I would think the common denominator there is, growing up in Germany, you grew up similarly, is probably because we grew up in small communities. I would assume, I never lived in a large city in Germany, so I assume if you would live in Berlin, for instance, in the city, it might not have been that way either.
Sure, yeah.
So
going back to your childhood, what were some either daily or seasonal types of activities that you did with your family that got you in the outdoors, whether it was gardening or, I don't know if you guys did any type of foraging or, chores that just got you in the outdoors. I know in the town that I always, visited over the summers, there were tons and tons of vineyards. I was just curious as to, what you guys did as a family when you were kids in the outdoors.
Well, first off, we spent, I would say, most of our free time outside.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I didn't have a TV till I was in 4th grade. At the time, it didn't seem important,
Yeah.
And plus, we had lots of kids to play with outside. You didn't want 20 kids coming into your household, but if you wanted to see 20 friends, you would just go outside and play. And as a family, Sundays were always very important. Of course, I grew up, no stores are open on Sundays. So, and to this day, stores are still not open on Sundays, maybe once a month now. So everything shut down Saturday at 1 p.m.
Okay.
And then the rest of the time was family time. We would go hiking. We would go, my dad would love to take us in the woods and show us things, toads and frogs and just critters we could find. That's kind of what we did. Of course, we had chores, outside chores. We had to help in the garden. Mm-hmm. That was something we had to have. We had to do. And as far as foraging, yeah, we would go. Like, I don't know if you remember, my mom made you the elderberry blossoms,
mm-hmm.
pancake type things.
Yep.
And my mom told you the story that there was, I'm sure like during the Depression too, you didn't have a lot of sweets. So they would take these blossoms and bake them in a dough and put powdered sugar on it. We also would pick cherries. So they have areas where people grow fruit trees. They're wild, but nobody picks them. So you're allowed to kind of clean whatever. So we would pick cherries and apples that were just out in the,
wilderness.
In the wilderness, so to speak. Yeah. Now the vineyard grapes we did not. Well, I should say we were not supposed to touch. But occasionally there was a bunch that just happened to fall down on the ground, and you could pick anything in the ground. Anything from the ground is not considered stealing. Anything that lays on the ground and you eat it directly is not stealing. So we had a few pears and apples and.
Is that a vineyard
grapes.
Rule or like your parents' household
that's a rule? No, it's an unwritten rule.
Okay.
That and nobody could prosecute you for going in some, So, but we also would pick greens from along creeks and made a salad out of it. And all these things probably grows here too, but people just do not know how to, utilize young dandelions, things like that.
The fern heads, the really curly
fiddleheads.
Yeah.
Yes, things like that. So.
Yeah, I was always amazed with my uncles and grandpas how they could find stuff like that and make stuff out of things you wouldn't think about. They always knew where strawberries grew wild, or Pop Grant knew where a persimmon tree was in the wild. Stuff like that that my generation clearly doesn't. And that's coming from the probably coming from the war, coming from the Depression where food was scarce. And like you said, it was interesting in one of our something you said reminded me of this. In one of my interviews, Sim talked about really wanting a hot dog. And he was probably 10 or 12, and he went to market. And he didn't go to market very often. And he took a little money out of his mom's cash drawer to go buy a hot dog. And he was in trouble before he even got back that he took the money. But it's funny to think of the things that we take for granted. A hot dog is something that we would not even
think twice about.
And that was a delicacy to them back then, just funny. So what was the name of the town you grew up in?
Atmohausen. It's in the state of Baden-Württemberg, which is southwest Germany.
Okay.
Now I want you to pronounce those over again.
No, I'm not doing it. One time I was reading the German version of The Hungry, Hungry Caterpillar. CJ would have been about 2?
Yeah, probably.
2 maybe. And it was just me and her. You were probably at a wedding. And I read her the book, and I asked her at the end how I did, and she said, "Not very good." So I learned at that point that my German
stay
speaking
in your
was,
own lane.
There's a it's similar to duck calling. I think there's like a guttural noise that I can't make that you need
a phlegm. That was a noise.
So,
like helicopter, Hubschrauber. Hubschrauber. There you go.
There, I tried. Was it good? Was it close?
You did pretty good, but
Okay.
I need you to say 888.
Achten and achten achten.
Oh, my word. Go ahead, Mom.
888.
Yeah, I see no difference. Same thing.
Same thing. I've heard
Exactly.
it both ways.
I've heard it both ways. So, I know you have a brother-in-law who likes to fish.
Brother.
Correct?
My brother.
Your brother likes
is
to
an
fish.
avid fisherman. Yes.
And was he a fisherman at a young age? Did you guys hunt?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think there's
No,
hunting
no.
opportunities, but it would be club stuff.
Very difficult.
You almost have to be a professional hunter, which is run by the state.
Okay.
And only very wealthy people
Right.
hunt. First, right now, it's very difficult to own a weapon. But fishing, anybody could do. So there are a lot of people that fish, yes.
Okay. And you camped too a fair
Camp,
amount.
oh, yes. Camp all the time.
I
But
think
rough camping, I mean, talk about, I don't know if I can say this out loud here, but
Say it.
I will say it. So when you had to go into the woods, you didn't have a bathroom, or what they did, my dad, he nailed a board between 2 trees, dug a hole, and then there was a bucket next to it with white stuff. What is it called? Like
Lye.
chalk. Lye, yeah. So if you used we called it the Donnerbalken, which means literally the thunder log. You had to go to the thunder log. You had to make sure that you covered it up, and you just went into the lake, and
Washed off.
and that was about it.
I don't think Mark's ever heard the camping story of Opakni on the air mattress.
He was on a cot, so we went camping a lot. The village I grew up, most of the people there were in the Red Cross. I wouldn't say club. What is it? They're EMTs, but it's a Red Cross basically. And my dad's friend was one of the Red Cross leaders, and they would take the village kids. Most of them wouldn't go on vacation. Parents couldn't afford that, and they would take him to this lake. And we would camp on the one hill, and the lake was at the bottom of the hill. And we had military tents, American military tents. They had no floor, just had a wall. So we were about 50 kids sometimes, all ages. So we had a tent you could wash up in. Then the girls had a tent, the boys had the tent. And the advisors, which my parents and other parents would go away, they had their own private tents and a cook tent. So your choices for breakfast, you had 3. You either could have now that's for breakfast, a jelly bread, not toasted, home-baked bread, or liverwurst.
That's right up my alley.
Liverwurst, my alley too. You could have hot chocolate or milk. Your third option was go without. No wine. It didn't help you. You just, so that was, I didn't think anything of it, but you tell your kids now, hey, you can have liverwurst or jelly, or you just don't eat. And the one night we had such a downpour that our air mattresses started to
Rise
float.
up.
So we got up middle of the night. We had to dig a trench around the tent in
my
the
word.
pouring rain so the water wouldn't come in. And we all were soaking wet, went back to bed, and the next morning everything got dried out. So the rule kind of was you got to come on free vacation. We had a lot of freedom. We would do night scavenger hunts in the woods and really cool stuff, but no whining. They would not accept any whining unless you had a good reason, like broken arm or something, right? But so the one night, my dad was asleep. Now the adults had these cots, military cots. You fold them apart. That's a canvas. You had to stretch. And they got to be in cots. We had to be on the floor. But anyway, so they had a little bit, the guys had a little bit too much to drink, we think. So anyhow, so my dad fell asleep in that cot. And early in the morning, some of us would get up and try to wake him. Wouldn't wake up. So we got a whole bunch of teenage boys that had the muscles. We said, let's carry him down into the lake. So this was Sunday morning. Well, that lake was used for the public to swim. So we would carry my dad down early in the morning. It was barely light. And we placed his cot in the lake.
With him on it.
With him on it. He never woke up.
Oh, my word.
And so there were some bulrushes, and we hid in the bulrushes, giggling like crazy. And we thought, let's see, here are some visitors coming to swim.
And he's
My
asleep
dad
on
is
a
just
cot.
sleeping on the cot. I mean, he was just above the water. We didn't carry him into the very deep because,
Right.
just above the water. Well, he woke up, and we were like, and all these people swimming. And he just sat up from the cot, looked around, stepped in the lake, grabbed his cot, and marched back up. We were laughing. But he never said a word because that would have made it to us funnier. You know?
He didn't give you the
No
the pleasure.
satisfaction.
So
yeah.
growing up was really fun because we were allowed to get dirty and muddy and just explore outdoor nature. So.
And then you had an uncle that was a butcher, correct?
Yes.
And you would help him, or you would?
Well, he would. So my uncle was a butcher, so he would always bring meat home, and then we had to cut up and process and whatever else. We made sausages, and we canned it, and we also dried some of it, and preserved it.
Mm-hmm.
But and we would home butcher pigs, and my parents also raised. Well, maybe I was Corley's age, meat rabbits, which I hated. I love eating rabbit, but I hated to feed them and then...
Get attached and then...
Yes, exactly. That was no fun. But I guess you learn that, in order to eat, there have to be certain things have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say, oh, I love meat, and I buy my steak, but I have no connections to
the animal.
To the
itself,
animal.
yeah.
Yes. So, and then during high school, I worked in a butcher shop.
Oh, okay.
And that was I think that got me over being too squeamish about stuff because, I'm just saying it, the pigs were floating in these tubs of blood. And you had to reach in and pull the head out.
Oh, my word.
And the first few times you just want to gag, and then later on it's like, I can eat a piece of pie and fish the head out of the blood.
Oh, my
You
word.
get used to it. And the best part of a pig's head is they don't sell it here, which is a shame. Is the cheek.
Yeah.
Cheek.
Yeah, the
Cheek
meat's
is
real good.
tender and lean and so good. But my favorite part, and I have never had it since I'm here, but every time I go back to Germany, my sister and I go to the butcher shop on Butcher Day. You want to know what we love to eat? We go in there and we say we want a pigtails. So they boil those pigtails, and then you get it and you ate the whole tail.
Bones and all?
Oh, yeah. The curly pigtails, yes. Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Yes, it's good. It's really good. And we also like the nose.
Snout, yeah.
Snout. Yeah, it's really
I've
good.
heard of that.
Yeah, see, there's no
And
no
feet,
waste for the
people eat
pickled
feet.
feet.
Pickled
yeah.
pig's feet.
Pickles.
Do you like
pig's
cow
feet.
tongue?
Yes, love
Yeah,
cow
I do
tongue.
too.
Love cow tongue. I like tripe.
Ugh. I don't know that I could do tripe.
If it's cleaned real good, yes, it's good. I had it when I was at home in May. Got to eat tripe every time you go. Can't have it here.
Okay. I just remember going to school in 2nd, 3rd grade, and
Liverwurst sandwich with pickles on it.
yes, that was my school lunch. Nobody wanted to ever trade food with me, but that was okay.
Now,
I was a weird kid with liverwurst sandwiches. That's fine.
yeah. But the really crazy thing is, so I grew up with only home baked bread. Never had store-bought bread. Always sourdough, and it was always baked in the village oven on a stone, hot, in the oven directly on the hot stone. So when my school, I was going to school in the village until 5th grade. 6th grade, I had to go to the big city, kind of like Lancaster, was the big city.
And how far was that?
Well, there was we had to take the public bus. So first I took my bicycle to the bus stop, and then from the bus stop I took it downtown. It wasn't, as a child, it seems much further. It would probably been the same distance from here to Lancaster.
So every morning when you went to school, it was probably 45 minutes of travel
Yes,
between the bike and the bus ride.
yes.
So, I mean, that's pretty far. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not,
Yeah.
it's further than
Yeah.
when American kids go to school.
Oh, my word.
And independent. I mean, from 5th grade on, nobody walked me to. I rode my bicycle to the bus stop. I had to know when the bus came because this was not a school bus.
Yeah.
This was the
Right.
public bus.
They weren't waiting.
We had it all memorized, and the same way back home. But so when I started going to the big city to school, I came with my liverwurst sandwich and my home baked bread. Sometimes I had schmaltz on it. Schmaltz. Loved schmaltz. I still do, but
What is it?
It's basically lard, but it has salt, pepper, and paprika in it. And if you have the luxury, then you get the little cracklings, the hard pieces.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't get taken out, that's even better. But you smear this on your bread. It's so good. But so what I discovered, I made some friends with city kids. They only had home baked bread with something on it. And they would see what I eat. And they said, "Can I have a taste?" My good friend Bettina, she always said, "Can I have a taste?" I said, "Here, taste." She says, "Oh my gosh, I love this bread. I love this food." I said, "Hey, you know what? You tell your mom tomorrow I want your bakery bread. Just tell her that you want liverwurst on it, and you tell me what I should tell my mom to put on." We swapped food because she never got home baked bread,
The
and we
city
never
kid
got
and the country kid swapping food.
Swapping food. That was kind of fun.
It sounds like it would have been fun.
Yeah, I could strike a good bargain. Depends what I put on it. I could maybe sometimes get 2 sandwiches from my one.
Rachel was trying to hawk her liverwurst sandwiches in school,
Wouldn't
but
go
no
so well.
for
I really,
Lunchables. But
my mother would have never bought me Dunkaroos.
No,
I wanted
no.
Dunkaroos so bad. And do you think anyone traded a liverwurst and pickle sandwich with me for their Dunkaroos?
for a Dunkaroo, I doubt it.
No. The answer to that is no.
I wouldn't have traded anything for Dunkaroo. I like Dunkaroos.
I still don't think I've ever had them.
You're not missing much.
Okay.
So I think we've told at least 2 versions of the John meets Erika story. I don't know if you've heard any of those on here. If you have any
No.
corrections or
I didn't. Which one did he give you? The true or the?
well, he didn't give us any. It was just
We were just-
third hand, I guess.
Yeah, kind of Nicholas Sparks' love story and how it all happened. He saw you on the train. He said
At the train station.
at the train station.
Where was that?
That was in the town is called Convestheim, and that was where I worked.
Okay.
And I actually had a little apartment there. So he was, I guess, downtown Stuttgart with some of his buddies, and at that train station where they because he was stationed in Kornwestheim. At the train station, there was a little Greek bistro. And friends of mine after work that worked with me sometimes would go eat their dinner there. Mm-hmm. We loved the Greek food. And John and his buddies came off the train, and they thought they're really funny.
And they were in their army uniforms, right?
Oh, no, they weren't. Because when you wear your uniform, there are certain things you cannot do.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so, and they came from the big city. I mean, where I went to school is a city. This was, Stuttgart is a big city. So they got off, and we were just standing outside so the little place had bistro tables outside in the summer, and we just would stand there, eat our souvlaki or whatever we had. And I guess having maybe 1 or 2 beers and buddies along emboldened him. I do not know. But he walked up to Claudia and myself and started chatting us up. And I was like, forget that. It's crazy. But anyway.
Crazy American.
Then they probably ate something. And I walked to my car. And he followed me and said, where do you think you're going? And I told him, none of your business. So that's kind of it. And
you gave him a fake name, right?
I gave him a fake name. And
what was the fake name? Do you remember?
Christina Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there are a million of them.
Yes.
It's like,
I told the story about he called everyone in the phone book.
Yes. But I felt really bad. You know how your conscience sometimes kicks in? And I knew where he was stationed, but I said, well, what a crazy last name. Or, I couldn't even pronounce it. But so I went up. Of course, I could not walk on there. It's American property. There's a gate and a guard. And I just said, this dude? Well, I didn't say it that way because I couldn't speak like that. And he said, no, because I can't pronounce the last name.
Right.
I just said, okay, I did my duty. And as I walked to my car, he said, hey, Christina, are you Christina? At first, I didn't react. I said, oh, yeah.
Hey, I am Christina.
Yes. So he gave us, he gave me his number. So John must have gone to the gate and said, in case this woman ever shows up, give her my number. And, of course, they don't have private phones there, so you always had to go, through some operator.
Sure.
Then you hear them yell down the hallway anyhow. And then I said, all right, let's just meet one time. And that's kind of it.
And 3 months later,
there was June or July.
Hold on 1 second. First, he wooed you with your first American breakfast,
right? Lordy, Lord have mercy.
You looked forward to an American breakfast.
Yes, I heard all this stuff. We don't eat bacon and eggs. And he invited me up to the barracks for a breakfast. Well, you have to be signed. You have to go through a lot to be able to get on the base. You have to check in the gate. You have to check in
Sure.
And I was so excited. I didn't smell anything. I was in wonder what we're having for breakfast. Gosh, I got cucumbers and carrots and a salad. He was on his health kick. And I'm like, Lordy.
And ranch, too, right?
Ranch dip and vegetables.
She hates ranch.
Yeah. So anyway.
But it worked.
Well,
clearly.
Not right away, but, he kind of grows on you.
Like a fungus?
No, I wouldn't say that. But,
So after 3 months, you knew that you wanted to spend the rest of your lives together when he was being restationed back to the United States.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, first of all, the journey over to the United States, because you weren't on a standard airplane, correct?
Well, yes, that time we were.
Okay.
When we came home the first time to visit again a year later and flew back, we were on a military plane.
On a cargo plane,
yes,
with
I
the
tell
nets
you,
and everything, right?
Yes, I tell you, it's the strangest thing, but it's free. So, well, we were, I forget what base we had to go to in Germany to go back near Heidelberg. Mm-hmm. And my dad drove us back. But so I'm seeing this plane, and I'm thinking, okay, where's our plane? I see this big
cargo plane.
And And we were on standby, so I said, well, we don't have a flight yet. And then they call our names, and like all I see is this cargo plane. And I said, what is this? That's your flight. I said, I'm not going this. Yeah, it's fine. So you go in there. First off, you sit in a seat suspended above the cargo. There are no flight attendants, needless to say. And then you get headsets, and you get a blanket because it's cold, it's loud, and you sit backwards.
Ugh.
Yes. And then we had this little window you could look out. And then when I see one of the people that was flying with us outside before she comes in praying, I said, oh my gosh, that's it. We're all going to die. But so that was the first time.
But then in order for him to give his blessing for your marriage, didn't Opa Knie come over with you for the first time to see how he liked this cowboy's life in the United States?
We got married in Germany
Mm-hmm.
with Justice of the Peace, with just my family. And then I had to go through all the things that you have to do to be able to come along, which is paperwork after paperwork after paperwork. And you also have to go to the American hospital. They have to make sure you don't have TB or any disease before they even allow you get your green card. But my dad said, you are not going over there unless I come with. If I don't approve of his family, you're with me on the next plane back home. So, and he was serious about it, but he came, he fell in love. He would have lived here forever.
And he wore cowboy boots and cowboy hats the rest of his life.
Well, he couldn't really over there, but he bought a big fat cowboy hat, yes, and other cowboy things. But he loved it. Unfortunately, he only made it over one more time before he passed away. So
Then you guys, after you came and moved to the States, you guys moved to California?
yes, we lived in Monterey.
You lived in Monterey, pretty close to Pebble Beach, right? You could.
Yeah.
Didn't John say? I think I heard John say you could see it.
Yeah, we could see the ocean from our bay window, Lover's Point in Monterey Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And the person I worked for, he golfed at Pebble Beach. And, of course, we went right near Carmel where a lot of famous, American people. And John had an interview with Ansel Adams, his hero. But he died the week before, 2 weeks before he had a chance to get to meet him. Monterey was really, really beautiful back then. It's really overgrown now. It used to be like a little, a little quaint little area. And I worked in Pacific Grove.
And was John in the military at that point yet? Is
John
that why you were in,
yes.
That was why you were in Monterey.
Yes, John was stationed at Fort Ord. He was still in the military. And while we were there, we weren't sure if we should stay there or he would come here to Hershey, where his parents were.
Mm-hmm.
So
then you moved after his discharge. You guys moved back to
we moved
to
back.
central Pennsylvania.
Yes,
And that's where you've made home for the last 40 years, basically.
So, let's talk gardening. I do not recall you having a garden when I was a young child. Or maybe I was that disinterested, I didn't.
Yes, we had one on Orchard Road.
Where?
Down the bottom and across the creek.
Okay.
But
we were too busy playing outside to take
so
part in that,
we
really.
had one there. But the location wasn't all that great because, it wasn't level. And we did want to have one on Colebrook Road as well in the back. Yes.
So what made you fall in love with gardening? Was it just doing it with your family or growing and providing for yourself?
No, when I was maybe 14, 15, I had to garden. Then I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go go do something else, but I have to be here, pull weeds and stuff like that, then you kind of give it up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I like digging in the soil, and plus it can be, if you do it it's something you can do by yourself or with others. It's
Yeah.
not, it's not a hobby. You have to have other people. But I think you probably, if you do gardening purely as a hobby, I think then you're not as productive as if you do it because you really want to grow your food.
Provide.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I always like how things turn out, and it's also because you can have fun with it. Hey, let's try this thing. Like we had okra for a couple years. It's a beautiful plant. The flowers are gorgeous, but
Slimy.
who likes okra?
Right.
You like fried okra, don't you?
Yeah, fried okra.
Anything tastes good fried.
Yeah, but you don't get the health benefit if you
Right.
if you fried. Or you could try all kinds of fun thing. And plus, I think gardening is also not. Of course, the older you get, the less but you can still do it. So there is no age limit. You can start as little as soon as you can walk and dig in the dirt until you can,
I think
physically do it anymore.
I mean, it's so rewarding to prepare a bed, put a seed in the ground, and watch that seed grow, nurture it to something that you can put on your table. And anybody, I mean, I've known some extremely good gardeners in my life. We've talked about it before. Bobby and Sarah. Sarah was my dad's aunt. They had a giant garden when we grew up. And I remember one time before they passed, thinking like, oh, this gardening's easy. Kate and I grew Brussels. They gave us a section of a garden, of their garden to grow stuff in, and thinking, oh, this is easy. And then, now I realize that probably Bobby and Sarah, or more so Bobby, from what I've
tending it
learned,
to you while you weren't
right.
watching.
We're actually taking care of it for us and making it fruitful. But I mean, anybody can. You can get a tomato plant and grow tomatoes quite easily. So I think it's neat. Now, that being said, something like, I don't know, figs or there's many different levels to it and skill sets to it that you can kind of start basic and grow into as you learn plants.
Yes.
But it's definitely, I mean, it's very rewarding.
I love watching your relationship with CJ and your love of gardening blossom together. CJ has been in the garden with you. I'm not a gardener. I mean, I can do what needs to be done, but I'm by no means skilled at it. But you and CJ have really bonded in the garden from a young age for her. And I love that you guys enjoy going to Aspen Shades and picking out seeds for the next season. And that's just been really, really cool to watch. And I don't know. So I know that CJ right now is into picking flowers. And she loves, growing anything she can pop into her mouth right away. She'll eat basil and dill right off. Just snap it off the plant and eat it right away. What is your favorite thing to grow? 2-part question. Second, what is something that you tried to grow and just never worked out?
Okay. My favorite thing to grow is cucumbers and tomatoes and lettuce because I love to eat that. I have never really had good luck with cabbage.
And you love cabbage, so that's a shame.
I love cabbage, yes. I think sometimes it's the soil and sometimes it's weather. Cabbage bugs can be a problem with cabbage, so you have to be after it all the time. You cannot slack.
Yeah.
Okay, you leave a cucumber too long, so no big deal. But if you don't take care of the cabbage, you are not successful.
Is there something you want to try that you haven't yet?
Yes, I would like to try one of those enormous Oriental cucumbers. I think they look like a snake.
They look like
Yes.
snake. Okay.
They're long. I'd like to try them. And we have tried, and I think I let CJ usually when we pick seeds. Well, we both go nuts on catalogs. So
you should
you
see
buy
it. They
more
just sit down on the
seeds.
couch together and they can
Yes.
talk for 2 hours about what seeds they want
and
to
we
buy.
like, and I don't want to advertise anything, but of course, heirloom seeds, because they're natural and you can save the seed and grow exactly the same plant that you had before.
Mm-hmm.
And so Baker's Creek is an heirloom company, and they bring out that seed catalog. It's like a stroll in the candy store
For you.
because the sky's the limit, yes. And so we like to try something different each year. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I mean, you bought some seeds, $2, $3.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that part. I like planting the garden. But again, like Mark said, you can start real simple, be a new gardener. It can get really complicated, but it doesn't have to be complicated. I think doing your soil, checking your soil, improving that each year a little more will make a big difference. And keeping your garden weed-free, which can be a real challenge, but I think we did really good this year. Or since we have that tarp down,
Yeah.
between the raised beds, it has made a difference.
I think it also helps that you're married to a guy that for pleasure, he
Oh, yeah.
waters things and weeds things. Any given day that it's nice out, where's John? He's watering something or he's weeding something. He'll go out with a book in one hand and a hose in the other, or weeding and just making little piles of weeds in the driveway or whatever. He's always doing those things. So I'm sure that's helpful too.
Yeah,
He can't walk past a weed without pulling it.
He cannot.
no, he goes to the mailbox and says, "I'll be right back." 45 minutes later, I said, "How far is our mailbox?" It's because he saw weeds along the way.
There is some
Yes.
there is some negative to that. Like
There is, yes.
You're working with him and you need a screwdriver, and 15 minutes later you go for the screwdriver that he went for, and he's up somewhere watering something or weeding something.
Mother lovingly refers to that as the moose with a muffin or mouse with a cookie story, where you go for one thing and you see 10 other things, and before you know it, you forget what you went for. That's
Yes.
John. And unfortunately, I've gotten a little bit of that too.
Yes, you have.
And Mark and I sometimes talk about you behind your back.
We know.
Out comes the truth. Oh, where is she?
I talk to you about you in front of your face too.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I do
You
too.
say
I do
you
too.
pulled a John T. is what you say.
Yeah, I call it a
Yes.
John T.
Disappearing act. I sometimes say we implant a tracker without them knowing.
You would find
Yes.
just a
Zigzags.
all over the place.
Is there something, Erika, I don't know, I get to the point where I would imagine I've never done much with tomatoes, okay? But I remember doing a lot with strawberries as a kid, canning jelly, and raspberries as a kid, and it got to the point where I was just like, I don't need to see another strawberry. Is there something in your garden that till the end of the season you're just like, I don't need these?
I know what she's going to say.
Yes. If we have a good cucumber years, it's like,
Can't
give
them
them away. Well,
Squash too. It feels like we give a lot of squash
yeah.
away.
but where we live, we're very successful. We're putting it down at the bottom of the driveway and say free, and it goes.
Yeah.
Because one thing too is we do everything organic. We don't use chemicals. And gardening organic is also more difficult than gardening with chemicals, because anybody can just spray stuff
Sure.
on it.
Keep the weeds, keep the bugs down, the horns.
Yes.
Or those hornworms.
Yeah. You have to pick those
Tomatoes.
tomatoes,
Yeah.
those things off. So
Luckily, now we have a bearded dragon that disposes of those very.
yeah, but I'd
Happily.
rather not see them at all.
So, what has it been like gardening with your grandchild, who's just as enthusiastic about it?
Oh, it's been fantastic because that's something we can bond over, and she can make as many decisions as she wants to because you can always redo it. It's not permanent. So something, a flower that she thought is really cool, well, it's not as cool as it looked on the package, and it doesn't matter. Plus, we get to spend time with each other.
There's lots of idle time to chit chat and stuff.
Yes, and not in front of, any device or anything. It was a lot of fun from the beginning because she likes getting dirty and digging in the dirt and picking up worms and that kind of stuff. Actually, when we had these, was it on the green beans? Where did we have these fluorescent bugs?
Yes.
And she would go up every day and pick them up. Now, I would never touch those suckers, but she had no problem, so they worked out just great.
That's the reason we put an outdoor shower in.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, too, if you don't spend time with them when they're little, some people don't want to bother because it's extra work, an extra burden or something like that. You will have no relationship with them when they're teenagers.
Yeah.
So do we sometimes butt heads? Certainly, but then you learn how to work out the problem, hopefully.
Yeah, we say we just had this discussion that right now she doesn't really like to be alone. And so I said to Rachel, give that another 2 years, and she doesn't want to be in her room by herself. I said, give that another 2 years and she won't want to come out of her room.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But the fondest memory I have with CJ was when CJ and I made sauerkraut. We had so much fun. And I do allow her, when she's in the kitchen, from little on, use a sharp knife. So you give her a knife as well, she learns to respect it that way. But we had fun making sauerkraut, wearing the big leaves on our heads, goofing around and stomping it down. And that's why I like cabbage, because I love sauerkraut. I could eat it every day.
Yeah, I like sauerkraut too. And you make good sauerkraut.
Yeah.
I love sauerkraut. So
She still talks about that too. She enjoys making it.
Yeah.
And there's another process where you put the work in and then you wait and you wait and you wait. And then you get the end product. You get the reward. It's not instant gratification.
yeah, and the health benefit, and and you can say, look, I grew this, and I didn't grow my cabbage. I bought it at the market because, like I said, cabbage growing and I do not mix for some reason. But so you pick your produce, and then you preserve it, and then you can use it. That is very rewarding, I think, for anyone. And I would encourage anyone that cannot grow a garden or doesn't have the time, you still want to learn how to preserve produce. You can buy it at farmers markets and make your own simple stuff. You know what's in it, and it saves a lot of money. And you never know when you need to have those skill sets.
Absolutely.
The way groceries are now, you can make applesauce for very little money, but if you buy it already made,
Yeah, it's quite expensive.
it's quite expensive.
And it's not nearly as healthy.
Yeah.
Or as good, I don't think.
Yeah.
We've tried bees and we've tried quail. We've had quail. We were successful with quail.
We were. That was a lot of fun. I liked that adventure.
Yeah.
You
we
had
had
a
chickens.
You had a rabbit. You had chickens. Is there anything of those things like you miss or you want to?
Well, I think chickens were fun, and so were the quail. The bees was nice when it worked out.
Yeah.
When they didn't die, we had our own honey. It's a fairly, for anybody to get into, it's a fairly expensive
Yeah, I think
Endeavor, yeah.
I think I'm at a
yes.
point now with that I'm kind of waiting to see the next chance I see Tim around, I'm going to ask him because our neighbor is related to a gentleman who has a lot of bees.
He lives of it, yeah.
Yes, his career is beekeeping, and the years that we were keeping bees, he also lost a lot of hives.
Most of his hives,
Right.
actually. That's his livelihood.
Right. So I think I want to, the next time I see him, I'm going to ask him, how it's been, and then maybe come back around to it when hopefully things are a little bit more stable.
Yeah. It was really rewarding.
It was very rewarding.
Yes.
And our first year, we lost both our hives, one before winter, one after winter. And then our second year, we actually got a wild hive to come into our hive, and they seemed to be established. They were growing, and then I'd say middle of October, they just vanished.
I don't know what happened.
They didn't die. They just vanished.
Yeah. Maybe they moved on.
They moved on. Something
didn't like. I don't know. But quail was fun.
Quail are a lot of fun.
Gathering those eggs on a daily basis was like Christmas morning or an Easter egg hunt. Like, you constantly had to, they're in this enclosure with all kinds of foliage and places to hide. So you're constantly looking around for these tiny little adorable speckled eggs. And there's, how many quail did we have?
I don't know, a lot.
Well, and then
20 eggs a day.
Yeah.
Now we had chickens, remember, at the same time, and quails in captivity don't hatch their own
Right.
eggs. But we had a chicken that went broody twice, but the first time we took some of the quail eggs because they were fertile since we had male and female, and we stuck them under the broody hen, and she did hatch them.
Yeah.
Now we had to move them out.
They were the cutest
because the
I've ever
chickens would
seen.
have probably killed those little things.
For sure.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think you'd ever get meat rabbits?
No.
No.
Now, I
So I'm
will
pretty
get a
sure on that
rabbit
one.
from Matt. They're raising them. I don't think I could
One
kill.
to eat that's already been butchered. you're
Yes,
saying.
already butchered. I love rabbit. I grew up eating rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
In Spain, there are a lot of rabbit.
Yes.
It's a very good protein.
Yeah.
But I myself couldn't raise them and then eat them. That's just
Yeah.
Even our quail, you weren't involved in the butchering
No.
of the quail when we
No,
decided to move on
that-
from them.
and
Fell to
it's-
Mark and I.
Yeah, exactly. I said now. So that being said, if I would be desperate for the protein, I could do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
It was good meat.
and I so yes, it was good meat.
So you're not a huge fan of doing the butchering of the live animal itself. You have no problem with the processing afterwards.
Yes, no, none.
All right, everybody. That's the end of episode number 1 with Mark and Rachel and Erika. As I mentioned at the top, we will be back next week to finish up this conversation and really hear a lot more about the food preservation side of what they do and Erika's passion for just doing kind of all things related to growing and processing and preserving your own food. So it's going to be another really great episode next week. I really hope you'll come back and join us. And like I mentioned, we're getting closer to some more episodes that we're going to record in Pennsylvania as the rifle deer opener approaches. So stick with the Outdoor Rules podcast. As always, thanks so much for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Outdoor Rules. All the content's on the website, www.outdoorrules.com. And I know we mention this every time, but we would really love to hear from you. You can always send us an email, outdoorrules@gmail.com. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore, creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor runs.